Hey, I'll start. Louis C.K.
You know, you have your bad thoughts. Hopefully you do good things. Everybody has a competition in their brain of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Hopefully the good thoughts win. For me, I always have both. I have like the thing I believe, the good thing. That's the thing I believe. And then there's this thing. And I don't believe it, but it is there. It's always this thing and then this thing. It's become a category in my brain that I call, of course, but maybe.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Okay, like of course, children who have nut allergies need to be protected. Of course.
Where's this going?
We have to segregate their food from nuts, have their medication available at all times, and anybody who manufactures or serves food needs to be aware of deadly nut allergies. Of course. But maybe if touching a nut kills you, you're supposed to die.
Maybe. Okay.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Jesus. I have a nephew who has that. I'd be devastated if something happened to him. But maybe, if we all just do this for 1 year, we're done with nut allergies forever.
Is it hereditary?
No, of course not. Of course, if you're fighting for your country and you get shot or hurt, it's a terrible tragedy. Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. But maybe if you pick up a gun and go to another country and you get shot, it's not that weird. Maybe if you get shot by the dude you were just shooting at, it's a tiny bit your fault.
The faces.
Of course, slavery is the worst thing that ever happened. Listen, you all clapped for dead kids with the nuts. For kids dying from nuts, you applauded. So you're in this with me now, do you understand? You don't get to cherry pick. Those kids did nothing to you.
Oh my.
Of course slavery is the worst thing that ever happened. Of course it is. Every time it's happened. Black people in America, Jews in Egypt, every time a whole race of people has been enslaved, it's a terrible, horrible thing. Of course. But maybe every incredible human achievement in history was done with slaves. Every single thing where you go, how did they build those pyramids? They just threw human death and suffering at them until they were finished. How did we traverse the nation with a railroad so quickly? We just threw Chinese people in caves and blew them up and didn't give a shit what happened to them. There's no end to what you can do when you don't give a fuck about particular people. You can do anything.
He risks.
That's where human greatness comes from, is that we're shitty people, that we fuck others over.
That's true.
Even today, how do we have this amazing microtechnology? Because the factory where they're making these, they jump off the fucking roof because it's a nightmare in there.
Yep.
You really have a choice. You can have candles and horses and be a little kinder to each other, or let someone suffer immeasurably far away just so you can leave a mean comment on YouTube while you're taking a shit.
Something I'm liking about Louis C.K. is he does a good job of bringing what are sometimes normal thoughts that aren't normalized. That, and then he takes risks that I think other comedians don't. And this is actually old. It was uploaded in 2014, but I don't know if it's from 2014. You guys will have to let me know. I know he has a new special, so if you have seen that and have any bits that you'd like to recommend to the channel, please do. Other than that, I do think that, of course, but maybe, thinking is relatable. I do it too, just, to varying degrees, and not exactly the examples that he gave. But I think many of us have thoughts that should exist only in the comfort of our own thought bubbles. And then you think it through, you take it to its natural conclusion, and you realize, yeah, it's a bit messed up. I see why that's not a thing. I think part of life is just sorting through thoughts and picking out the good ones, and then accepting that the other ones exist and rejecting them. And thankfully, Big Brother is not constantly watching, and there's no such thing as thought crime yet. If you know that reference, you know. So if you can think of an of course, but maybe statement, let us hear it. Also, it's been debunked that the Egyptian pyramids were built by slaves. Anyway, for today's literary recommendation, there's so many books that get into thought crime and illegal thinking of sorts. Of course, 1984 by George Orwell is going to be the top of the list, and then Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, The Giver by Lewis Lowry, or what's this one by Ayn Rand? Anthem as well. And a lot of those books kind of fall under the dystopian novel category. And a couple of those authors have attributed their inspiration from an author called Yevgeny... I keep wanting to say Yevgeny Pavlovich, but that's a fictional character. Yevgeny's the author's first name. The book is called We, W-E. And although I don't love science fiction, and I've read a lot of science fiction to come to that conclusion, this book is definitely an exception to that rule. The book itself was actually suppressed in Russia for some years because of the subject matter. And many people say that that's the first dystopian novel ever written. So if you've ever read it, let me know what you think. Or if you can think of another book that covers thought crime or illegal thinking, let me know what it is and I'll probably read it. Other than that, that's all I've got for you. So leave your thoughts on any of this. And as always, thanks for watching with me.